All of this is a distraction to the point that it's laughable. It's literally laughable what they're doing, and we're going to prove that in this video. If you've yet to check out my most recent video that actually covers this topic, proves, in my opinion, how Donald Trump is controlled, why he's doing what he's doing when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff on purpose, I would 100% recommend watching that video first, because it's going to lay the foundation that will make this video make much more sense. So please go and check that out. Also, if you want to check out the uncensored version of my videos and additional videos you cannot find on YouTube, please consider becoming a member of the Patreon. Link is in the description. So I waited all day to wait for these so-called bombshell Jeffrey Epstein reports that were supposed to be released as of today. I was trying to wait for that to come out before I talked about this topic on this channel, but it looks like that's probably not going to come out today, because it says here, breaking: the Department of Justice has filed a motion to unseal grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Transparency to the American people is of the utmost importance to this administration, posted by Charlie Kirk, who has made a complete embarrassment out of himself, because no matter what, he's going to defend the Trump administration. He also is a person who claims to be an avid supporter of free speech, but we're going to prove how him or Trump is not really about free speech in the end, but we'll get to that.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
Well, it looks like this grand jury testimony is not going to come out, but that's not even what we asked for. Let's just start there. This is what I'm talking about, bro. The way that they trick people, they give people crumbs, and then the big things, the large major things that's happening, they treat people like we're stupid, bro. If they give us crumbs, we'll be happy with the crumbs, while the major things that need to be changed never get changed. The left, or while Biden and Kamala Harris was in office, things became so radical that it now, in like with 2020, I can see it with 2020 vision in hindsight. Everything that they did was on purpose. Why would you campaign for abortion up until birth? That's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a lie. That's literally what Kamala Harris then were doing.
Vice President Kamala Harris avoided answering at what point in pregnancy she thinks abortion should be restricted, raising questions about what the Biden administration thinks of late-term abortion. Harris was pressed in a sometimes contentious interview about where she thinks lawmakers should draw the line when it comes to abortion.
What is it that you believe? I mean, what week of pregnancy should abortion access be cut off?
We need to restore the protections of Roe versus Wade.
Well, that was nebulous, because it was about viability, which could be anywhere between 20 to 24 weeks.
No. Let me be very clear.
The Women's Health Protection Act that the White House also endorsed.
Let me be very clear.
They literally hosted abortion trucks and vans outside of their campaign rallies. Why would you try to convince the country that men can be women? We know that that's not, they're literally two different words. We literally have two different anatomies, two different physiological makeups. We know that that's not true, but they tried to convince the country of that. Why would you try to advocate for illegal immigration instead of advocating on improving our immigration process to make it easier for families to come into the country? I'll tell you why. Because they wanted to upset and piss off the country to the point where they needed a quote-unquote savior. Like we talked about in my last video, I'm not going to deflect and just repeat too many things that I've already said already. But that makes sense to me, because even those that didn't even care for Trump so much was almost forced in the corner. Their hands were tied. Their hands were forced to vote for Trump because they believe that voting makes a difference. But that's a topic for a whole nother video. But that you turned the country against you. And now people are rallying behind Trump, and look at what he's doing. And so they're talking about giving us a jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case, which is not even the same thing as a quote unquote client list, which, by the way, does not exist. If you think that there's some list sitting in a vault somewhere, it doesn't exist. Which, by the way, the actual list that was put together by a gentleman based on 4 to 5 years of actual research that he proved can be found on my Patreon. Only because YouTube was giving me a hard time with uploading it here. But if you thought an actual list existed, I have bad news for you. No list like that is going to exist, especially when you're allegedly working for the Mossad or the CIA, which I believe is the Mossad. But it's just not going to happen. So now they're talking about giving us a jury testimony as if that's what we asked for. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to predict this. I posted this early on my channel. Whatever they're going to release is going to talk about nothing. It's going to implicate nobody, including Democrats. It's not going to implicate anyone that's still alive at the very least. It's not going to implicate anybody. Because again, the same deep state that so many people think Trump is after, Trump is a part of the deep state. He is the deep state. That's the reason why he did not arrest, quote unquote, Crooked Hillary, even though he campaigned on it in 2016. And what happened? He got into office, all that went away. Because they're all friends. That's the reason since he's been back in office, nobody in conjunction with or cahoots with his quote-unquote assassination attempt, which we've covered that was 100% staged. Nobody in cahoots with that has been arrested. Nobody from the quote-unquote deep state has been arrested. No one that was involved in quote-unquote election fraud has been arrested. Anthony Fauci and whatever y'all want to accuse him of when it came to the COVID situation, which I was 100% not a fan of, he hasn't been arrested. Trump hasn't arrested any of these people that y'all said that he was going to go after. And now all of a sudden, when the Epstein debacle takes place, which all of this was orchestrated, now they're trying to hit us with a different distraction. Because here's Tulsi Gabbard, posted four hours ago, says Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump, and their entire administration, just like the left and Biden's administration, are all liars. And proof of this is, once again, a distraction. Look at the timing of everything. Why did you not post this a week ago? Why did you not post this 2 weeks ago? Why is it coming out when all this noise around the Epstein situation is happening? What are you distracting us from? What are you deflecting us from? Further proof of this, if y'all are serious, arrest Obama. Arrest anybody affiliated with him. I want to see you do it. It made sense why y'all went for Trump, because he had been painted as the bad guy. Generally speaking, Obama is considered one of America's sweethearts, so to speak. Of course, depending on who you're talking to, but especially when you come to the left. They're not going to ever arrest him. That's how you know that they're not serious about this. But this so-called letter that Trump supposedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, where it talks about he wrote this letter and drew it out in the shape of a woman's naked body. The first thing many people realized was just how outrageous all of it sounded. Like the wording, for the most part, don't really sound like how Trump talks. It's not to say that the letter isn't real, or I have mixed feelings about this. No matter if it's real or not, it's a distraction. It's definitely a distraction, and nothing's going to come from it. Nobody's going to get arrested. Nobody's going to really be implicated, because look at the timing of this. Why did this not come out 2 months ago? Why is it coming out right now? Everything just seems to line up super conveniently. But one of the biggest reasons people are choosing not to believe this is because Trump responded and claimed that he doesn't doodle, or he doesn't like to draw, or something to that effect. But that's been proven wrong. Trump actually has a history of literally drawing things, especially in conjunction with his letters. So he is known for doing that. Another reason people are choosing not to believe this letter is real, and that it is some sort of hoax contrived by the Democrats, because they're still trying to paint this left versus right narrative when it's really us versus them. It's because the word enigma was apparently used in this letter from Trump to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. And many people are saying Trump don't use or talk like that. He doesn't use words like enigma. As we know, Trump isn't the most articulate president we've ever had before. But that's actually not true either.
Now Carson's an enigma to me.
Trump has actually used the word enigma before. So does this mean he actually wrote the letter? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I just wanted to debunk a couple of fallacies that I've seen. But what I will share is something super interesting. And apparently the Trump administration ordered FBI agents investigating the Epstein files to quote-unquote flag any mentions of Trump, according to the Senate Judiciary Committee. It says here, according to information my office received, you then pressured the FBI to put approximately 1,000 personnel in its Information Management Division, including the Record Information Dissemination Section, which handles all requests submitted by the public under the Freedom of Information Act and Privacy Act, on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records in order to produce more documents on an arbitrarily short deadline. This effort, which reportedly took place from March 14th through the end of March, was haphazardly supplemented by hundreds of FBI New York field office personnel, many of whom lacked the expertise to identify statutorily protected information regarding child victims and child witnesses or properly handle FOIA requests. My office was told that these personnel were instructed to quote-unquote flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. Notably, in 2002, Mr. Trump said of Mr. Epstein, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Just yesterday, it was reported that the department previously reviewed a quote-unquote leather-bound album comprised of dozens of letters from Mr. Epstein's friends in celebration of his 50th birthday in 2003. The letters were collected by Mr. Epstein's partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, and included one from Mr. Trump that allegedly quote-unquote contained several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. And the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist. Despite tens of thousands of personnel hours reviewing and re-reviewing these Epstein's related records over the course of 2 weeks in March, it took DOJ more than 3 additional months to officially find that there is quote-unquote no incriminating client list. And the memorandum with this finding includes no mention of the whistleblower or additional documents, the existence of which you publicly claimed on February 27th. So yeah, like I said, I believe all of this is a distraction. I believe that's what this is all about. I think it's meant to point people in different directions and get us talking. And I'm like, what are you doing here? All this is doing is tanking the popularity and the perception of President Trump. Coming into this, people was looking at Trump as a savior type. He was going to save us from all these radical policies, the transgenderism, the quote-unquote, what they call the quote-unquote wokeism. And so on day one, Trump was what? Signing all those executive orders. And people was like, man, this is unprecedented. Pun intended, we've never seen this before. Just to get 6 months into his presidency from that point, and look at us now. Just like that. Forever, there will be a stain on his legacy, regardless of what happens over the next 3.5 years. People are not going to forget about this. And I'm telling y'all what I think is happening, not to mention the bills that they were able to pass today. If you have not been able to keep up with that, we need to keep an eye on what they're trying to pass. Which, by the way, they tried to pass a centralized digital currency act earlier today, but to my knowledge, that did not pass. So that's what I'm saying. They're distracting us from other things that's taking place because, like I covered in the last video, this is all a Hegelian dialectic tactic that they're enacting on the people. They're having us look over here, and they're creating the problem so that they can create the solution, which is what they wanted all along, which is Luciferian in nature. That's all this is. But y'all up in the comment section, let me know what you think, man. Give me your thoughts. I wanted to just make a quick video and update y'all. When they do release whatever the grand jury plans to release, I'm telling y'all it's not going to implicate anybody, Democrat or Republican, because Trump has never been the president, regardless of how people view him, to be the man behind arresting actual bad guys that's a part of the deep state. He's not going to do it, and neither is any other president, because they're all in cahoots together. Hop in the comment section, give me your thoughts. Everything in this video was alleged for my protection. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. That's all for this one. Peace. Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.